Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I am Gary McLean, and you are watching Talent Talk. Thanks again for joining us, wherever you happen to be watching from. I hope you're having a great day so far. I just wanted to mention, as I do in the beginning of most shows, this is an interactive show. So for the folks watching, please do comment, ask questions, say hi, make fun of us, whatever you feel like doing. Just try and keep it relatively civil, and we'll have a good time. Secondly, at the end of the show, stick around as we are hoping to get to our little random phrase challenge at the end of the show, of which we hope anybody watching will again participate. So yeah, definitely stick around for that. Having said that, today's guest is a force to be reckoned with in the indie film scene here in Calgary and elsewhere. He edits, he directs, he produces, he acts, he writes. My goodness, what doesn't he do? He kind of does it all. He studied film at the Company of Rogues and also has a BFA in drama from the University of Calgary. He's done some other studies abroad in New York and in Leeds, England. Yeah, I mean, he's amassed 40 credits, has awards, nominations in multiple disciplines, including the producing, the acting, the editing. Again, pretty much every category. He's also the founder of HSS Productions, a production company that focuses on stories that touch the heart, the soul, and your head. Please join me in welcoming Troy Greenwood. Good morning,
Hey,
Troy.
good morning. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited about this.
Excellent. Good to hear. I'm glad. I'm always glad when the guests are happy to be here. It's a good sign. Yeah. So yeah, tell us a little bit about you and how you got started. Like, were you like 5 years old and decided, okay, film, acting, I've got to do this? Or was this something that progressed a little later in life?
Yeah, I think the arts in general started earlier. Church choirs and music groups and learning to play piano and all of that stuff got me started. But it wasn't until junior high and sort of drama classes that I sort of just got excited about it all and sort of focused more on acting. Specifically, at that time, I got cast in the school play. My first year in drama class, got to play a funny little character in a show called Dracula's Boarding House, and that sort of lit the fuse of acting and enjoying performance that way. And then progressed to doing sort of film camps. I did the Gulf Islands Film and Television School. They do like a youth media intensive camp that's about a week long, and then they take you everywhere from writing all the way through to editing in a week. And so you make a short film in collaboration with a bunch of other students in sort of like a camp-like format out on Galiano Island. So that introduced me to writing and editing, and specifically non-linear editing, because I came back with that, bought a cheap little program, and then started editing little skits with friends at school. And then progressed from that to university, and then studying in New York, and just going sort of full bore in everything that I do. Yeah, you want to know more?
I'm sure we do. I'm sure we'll get to a lot of that as we kind of progress here as well.
Yeah.
And sorry, are you actually Calgary native?
Yeah, born and raised here.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
Same here. Welcome.
Yeah. Apparently we're unicorns or something.
Right, exactly. We're a rare breed, yeah, for sure. Just out of curiosity, what high school did you go to?
I started at Diefenbaker, and then I finished through an internet school called Rocky View Virtual School.
Okay. Well, you
Yeah.
may have hurt myself, so yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Which of course, yeah, it's been in the news recently, so not in a good light. So
Mm.
we'll move right by that.
Okay.
Um, so, do you like when you were in high school? Did you kind of consider yourself a drama geek, or?
um, yeah, I was kind of in an odd place because I went through periods of depression through junior high and high school, and so I was sort of transitioning. I was very much a jock and an athlete up until about grade 8 and 9, and then started to shift more into arts. I think a lot of sort of the male toxic masculinity that you can kind of get in some of the sports fields um, didn't really sit well with me, and that sort of pulled me out of sort of going into more competitive sports, which I probably could have. But yeah, I found a group of friends in junior high that were very much more towards the nerdy side and introduced me to online role-playing games online, and we built computers together. And so, yeah, I guess I was sort of a jock that transitioned to nerd between junior high and high school.
Okay, no, that's fair. So considering, like you were just mentioning that you went through a little bit of depression through your junior and senior high, do you
Yeah.
think that's kind of influenced your creation of HSS Productions then, or?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I think having to deal with depression, um, a lot of it was learning sort of mindfulness and learning how to pull myself out of slumps. And a lot of that is sort of learning to take stock of what's important, what's not, what you value, what you don't value. And so I think, yeah, a lot of that comes through in my films. Especially in why I formed HSS Productions, is yeah, because I want to tell stories that have a meaning behind them. They're not just casual entertainment. I mean, they're entertaining in themselves, but I want to tell stories that have a message, and make the viewers and the audience either question themselves or question some of the things they believe, or just provide some insights and some hope. And so one of my films that sort of, it was almost like a 20-year from um, starting it to finishing it. In junior high, I would write a lot of poetry. And so in one of my sort of depressed states, where I was almost suicidal, I started to write this poem to sort of express where I was at and what state I was at. And then that turned into, I took that and I thought about, okay, that's where I am. That's how I'm feeling. But what do I tell myself to get through this moment? And so a script sort of formed out of that. Of you start out in the one world, depressed with the character in the mirror contemplating suicide, and it's sort of this poetic prose that I wrote. That's the first half of the script, and then the second half is 20 years later, looking back, what I would tell myself. And so I wrote the script. I didn't have any inclination of shooting it at that point, but I had the script there. And it wasn't until 2013, I think, so that almost 15 years later, that I started up with a group called Film Acting Fight Club here, and we would do bi-weekly or weekly visits, and it would be actors, filmmakers, directors, anybody in the community that wanted to get together and sort of refine their skills, but also to collaboratively work to understand each other's language of a sort, because a lot of times you can get stuck in your own field as a director and not understand how to talk to an actor or where they're coming from with their motivations. And at the same time, as an actor, sometimes you can take offense or not quite understand why the director's talking in a certain way. And so learning to collaborate that way. And as part of that, we would bring in projects to sort of workshop, and so I brought in that script that I had, and that turned into the film Faded Image that went on to win a couple of awards and did the festival circuit. And so it was sort of like it was actually kind of weird, because so I wrote the original script in high school, just the beginning of high school, I think it was, and then it had always kind of bugged me, the second half of the script, because it just never quite got to where I wanted it to, and it never quite felt right. And it wasn't until I started workshopping it about 15 years later that I realized that the reason it didn't feel right in the second half was because I didn't have those 15 years of experience to tell the younger self. I was trying to tell myself in the time without the experience that I needed to. And so, yeah, so through the workshopping and through having that experience of dealing with depression for 15 years and struggling through it, I was able to really sort of comprehend what I actually needed to tell myself in that time, not what in that time I thought I needed to tell myself, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. And so, what year was it that you actually kind of filmed it and started throwing it through festivals?
I think it was 2000, we shot it over a winter and a summer, so like it's definitely a two-halved piece. And so we shot. I built a set in my friend's garage, a bathroom set for the initial scene, and we shot that in the winter of, I think it might have been 2013, either 2013 or 2014. And then the following summer, we shot all of the playground scene. That actually, it's a really cool thing, because so in the second half, he's at a park and he's watching his wife and a child play in a park, and so the baby, she's 3 years old at that point, but the baby in the film is actually my niece, who's since moved to Australia, and she's about almost 10 now. So it's interesting to just have that sort of time capsule of her at that age, and it's actually funny because she's found the YouTube link, and so she sent me, and she's starting to say, "Oh, I'm a star, I'm a celebrity," and she's telling her friends about it. I'm in a film. It's kind of cool. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And you said that won awards or through the festival?
Yeah. So where is it? Screen Bare Bones Film Festival. I think I have the list here. It's hard to remember all this stuff.
Yeah, right.
Indie Gathering, I think it won a festival award there, Star Award, and won a cinematography award for Chris Bragg at the Action on Film Festival in Las Vegas.
Okay. And was that kind of your first project that you kind of pushed through and went through the festival circuit, or what was kind of your first foray into the festival circuit?
My very first film in the festival circuit was actually Diamond Planet 2. I guess I should, to justify that, in sort of more of a professional circuit, because I had films in high school that were in sort of the high school film festival, and I did projects that were in the Calgary Film Challenge, but sort of into the sort of wider spirit of festivals. Diamond Planet 2, it screened down in Gulfport, Mississippi, I think it was, at the Sun and Sand Film Festival, which was kind of an eye-opening experience. And yeah, it's interesting. So I went to the festival, and it was a unique experience, because some of the festivals you'll get a lot of people that'll come to the festival and be there, and some other festivals you get limited amount of people that are able to be. So there were 5 filmmakers that traveled with their film for the entire week of the festival. There were ones that came through for a few days at a time, but there were 5 of us that were there for the entire festival. So we met the first night, and then we started carpooling to the festival, and just built this incredible friendship over that week. And it's actually one of those filmmakers is turned out to be one of the founders of the Kovaleight International Film Festival that now I'm part of it. And it's just it's the festival circuit for me has more been about the connections that I make with the other filmmakers and the sort of energy and the thrill and the I don't know. I go to festivals and I meet all these other filmmakers and I try and watch as many films as I can. Especially if I met the filmmaker, I make an active effort to get out to their films, which isn't always the case because some things films are cross-timed and they're both playing at two different places at the same time. But you make these friendships and you get excited about other people's projects and you get excited about different ways of making films. And I find myself that I come back from those film festivals just reinvigorated and wanting to make more projects, and also with a whole new set of friends that I can interact with either online or to send scripts to for them to have a look back and give me feedback or to even make projects with. I mean, I've sold one of the films that I made came out of meeting a cinematographer at one festival, and then we collaborated on. I wrote a script for him on a concept that he had, and that one got made, and that one went to several festivals. That was called Sudden Developments, and then 6 months to a year later, he was back and he's like, "You helped me, so why don't I help you on one?" So he was the cinematographer for Soul. That's been to a couple of festivals, and I'm hoping to get out to a few more. I'm tweaking some of the VFX a little bit more before I do another round of submissions, but we've already been to about 5 festivals with that one, so yeah.
Okay. And I like what you touched on there with the whole networking portion of the festivals. I mean, myself, I've actually only been to a couple, but yeah, like right off the bat, that was the first thing I noticed is this huge opportunity to actually meet other people in the industry that you've never met before and try and build on that, right?
Absolutely.
And then especially after you do go through it and you watch the films, their film, they watch yours, you watch theirs, and then you just have that common ground, right? And you just sit there and you start
Absolutely.
chatting. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great thing. I need to get out and do more of that. So kudos to you for actually getting out there and doing that.
Yeah. It gets expensive very quickly, but it's
For sure, right?
if you're
Yeah.
able to do it, it's a great thing to do for sure.
Because you've also been down to LA for some festivals there. Like you've actually traveled around a bit for some festivals.
Yeah, yeah. I also have it's easier for me to get to LA because I have friends that I went to school with in New York that have since transitioned to LA, so it's finding someone to stay with isn't a huge ordeal, which saves
That,
a lot of money on traveling to festivals if you have somewhere to stay.
right. Yeah, that's half the battle, I think, right there. So that's
Yeah.
bonus. Apparently, I need to make more friends in LA. um, so, having said that, I'd like to touch on a specific festival that you're kind of involved with, which is Kovaleight Festival.
Yeah.
Can you kind of tell us a bit more about that festival? Like, is it a specific festival, or um, I'll
Yeah.
let
So
you.
the Kovaleight. Okay, sorry I cut you off there, but
No,
yeah,
it's
the
okay.
Kovaleight International Film Festival is in Butte, Montana. It was started about 5 years ago. Yeah, I think we're going into our 5th year now. And the founders were Don Andrews and Brian Boyd. And so I met Brian Boyd in Gulfport, Mississippi at the Sun and Sand Film Festival in, I can't remember the year. Oh my God. It would have been 3 years before the festival started. So probably 2014, 13 or 14. And so he was one of the 5 sort of filmmakers that were there for the full week. He was an actor in, I've actually got that. Hold on, let me grab it. He's in a film called Suck It Up, Buttercup. I actually still have the card that I got and his information on the back from when we met. So that did incredibly well on the circuit, the Suck It Up, Buttercup. And so he was actually in the process of traveling all over the country for a festival. He had rented a car and was just going festival to festival with his film. And it turned out that 2 years later, he met up with Don Andrews, who he had met at another festival, and they landed in Butte, Montana, with the idea of only staying for a night or I think a couple days, and that turned into 5 years now, I guess, ongoing. And they decided to start a film festival there. And so when they were doing their inaugurative festival, he reached out to me to ask if I had any new films or anything that I'd like to submit. And so I submitted Faded Image, the film that I talked about before, about depression, and that one got in. And I'd also recently finished a television pilot called How to Survive a Zombie Apocalypse in Retail. And so submitted both of those, and those both sort of traveled the circuit together. There were a couple of festivals that I went to where both were playing, which was really kind of cool to have two films in one festival. But yeah, back to Kovaleight. So it's a festival that's built around independent film, especially, and they have sort of a social consciousness to the festival. There's an old story of Frank Little. Back when the unions, Pete's a big mining town, and so sort of a lot of the rights and the unions sort of formed out of strife that happened around mining. And so there's this sort of legend of Frank Little. He was an advocate for the miners there, and he was actually lynched because of it. And so one of our awards there is the Frank Little Award, and it's for social documentaries. So we've had some incredible films there on Indigenous rights and the Flint water crisis, and so there's definitely a theme for social documentaries for sure, but also films that have social messages. That's not to say that that's all they do. They have some really good horror spoofs that have gone through. They're kind of an all-inclusive festival, but there definitely is sort of a specific sphere of that festival that's very socially focused and socially relevant. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to know?
No, that's fantastic.
I'm always unsure of how far to go or how much time to, or how dig to deep, and so yeah.
No, that's exactly. That's what we're looking for is what it's all about, and yeah, so perfect.
Yeah, I should say we're in the process of sending out acceptances, and then we've transitioned to a virtual festival this year, so it'll be October 2nd and 3rd is the planned dates for the virtual festival for Kovaleight. So just so you know.
Okay, awesome. And is that available? Like, can you look that up on, like, say, Film Freeway or something as well?
Yeah, they're on Film Freeway, and they have a website. I believe it's kovalightfilmfest.org.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
All right. And sorry, how long has that been around?
This is the 5th year, I believe.
5th season. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like an international, I take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And it is, I guess, brain fart.
Okay.
I always love those when it's live. I love the brain farts. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the festivals, how many projects do you think you've actually submitted so far overall?
Like how many total submissions or projects?
Let's go projects, because submissions can
yeah,
that'd be pretty hefty.
Yeah, I've probably submitted 5 or 6 projects into festival circuits, and it's an interesting thing when you actually get into the festival submissions, because it can be very daunting, and I think people are very prone to start out looking at the major festivals. Like you sit down at the computer and you're like, this is my first film and I'm going to submit to TIFF. And
right.
your odds, I mean, I'm sure it's possible that you could get into TIFF, but your odds of on your first film of getting into some of those massive festivals are next to nil. And that has nothing to say about the quality of your film as well, because the more that I'm in the festival circuit, the more I realize that there is a lot of networking that's involved in films that get placed in certain festivals. Yes, the quality of the films is important, but there's festivals that have certain themes, so you have to fit the theme of the festival. There's genre festivals. There's festivals that, like Kovaleight, that have sort of a social consciousness around. So when you're starting your festival submissions, you have to sort of focus on. I would say to start with sort of. I mean, you can pick one or two maybe of the bigger ones and go like, if this gets into this, then full bore with this, but also to be considerate, because the cost of submitting to films adds up very quickly.
Yes.
And so pick some that are mid tier and pick some that are more independent festivals. And obviously some of the bigger festivals have restrictions on premiere screens, so you start with those ones, and then if you don't get accepted to those, you can shift down to the mid tier and see how you do, and then you can do an independent. But it's about getting sort of a first film in there, and you start to understand. You go to that festival ideally, and you meet people, and you start to understand the festival circuit, to understand one, that there is an incredible amount of amazing films that get made. So if you're not selected to a film festival, that's not anything to do with how good your film is. A lot of the time, it's just that there's thousands of films that got submitted, and it's just selection, natural selection. They cut it down, and everybody has different tastes. Art is a subjective field, so I mean, I would say in filmmaking, regardless of what role you're in, whether you're an actor, whether you're a writer, whether you're a director, you have to not take denials or not getting in as a reflection of your talent or your ability or of your value. And you have to keep putting yourself out there and know that what you're doing, do it for the right reasons, and that it means something to you, and you're invested in it, and find your value in doing the projects, not the external gratification of someone saying, "Oh, it's great," or selecting you. You do it for wanting to do film and for being invested in it. But yeah, you have to have a stiff upper lip to be able to take rejections, because you'll run into a lot of those. I mean, Faded Image, I think I submitted to probably 30 festivals in total, and I think the first 15 I got no's from, and then I got into one, and then I got into another one, and then I got into another one, and it's this weird thing, because it sometimes it's like, well, why did I not get into those other 15, but I got into and it just sort of picked up from that point. So
Right.
It is sort of, there's this weird sort of sheer luck to it all as well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've had very similar experiences. And there's a lot of good points in there, by the way. Having that thicker skin, because it's like being an actor and not getting the audition.
Yeah.
You know, most of the time it has nothing to do with what you've done or anything. They're looking for a specific look, whatever the case is. As an actor, it could be they're looking for a specific film for this year's festival, right? For an example, right? Maybe yours doesn't fit in with the rest of the genre that they're looking at. Just something
or they have
like
another
that,
film
right?
that's basically the same content, right? Or very, very similar to the film you submitted, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like your point earlier about not going for the big guys right away, which admittedly I did with my first film as well. I was like TIFF, Vancouver, Calgary International, Sundance. I threw it all in there.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, right. It's just
And I mean, even with films that I make now, I'll still pick one or two, and I'll be like, let's give it a shot and see.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, just don't make that your main focus. Go
Yeah.
to those smaller independent ones as well. Yeah, which
Yeah, don't spend 1,000 on all of the high tier ones and have no money left for any of the other festivals.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, there's a lot of good stuff there. I do have a question on the chat board here. Um, I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but I'll read it out for the other folks as well. Um, hey Troy, what are all those awards behind for? One appears to be best 19th century doctor.
Oh,
So,
yeah, the statue there? Yeah.
yeah,
That one was actually so when I went to the Indie Gathering Film Festival, they had a monologue competition for people that were there. And I was not prepared for it at all. I just got there and they're like, oh, we're doing a monologue competition. I was like, well, I'm here. Why not? And so I signed up for that. And so I ended up placing second in the monologue competition.
nice.
Yeah.
What's the other one there? The
And
plaque.
the plaque is that one's for How to Survive a Zombie Apocalypse in Retail. And that one's from the Bare Bones Film Festival, where we won Best Mini Feature TV Pilot for How to Survive a Zombie Apocalypse in Retail. So.
Nice. Just out of curiosity, some of these projects that are they available on your website and stuff as well, or?
Yeah, I have a number of them up there. Faded Image is up now. I haven't fully released the full pilot for How to Survive a Zombie Apocalypse in Retail, but I might actually do that in the next little while. But yeah, there's probably 10 or 11 projects you can find under the film tabs if you want to watch them. There's Diamond Planet 2. There's Voices of Region, which I won a Best Actor award at the Calgary Film Race. There's a number up there that you can go to watch.
Okay.
And there's the little ticker at the bottom with the website.
Yes, definitely. Check that out. There was a follow-up question there. I guess that wasn't the award he was talking about. He was talking about the one up top.
That's my film bag. That's just my camera bag for my Canon T3i. So that's what I use for filming auditions and stuff.
There we go. Although you could potentially pass that off as the 19th Century Doctor Award. From what I'm seeing here anyway.
Sure. It's got
get a closer look there. Sure. Right, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's the Canon film bag for my camera. Branding right there. There we go. Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Plug all right. For Canon.
Well, I'm gonna go approach them for money now.
Like, right? Yeah.
What's your logo? Can I have some money? Awesome. Oh, I'd like to get, if you don't mind, I'd just like to talk about a couple of your more recent projects that you're kind of working on here. Sure. I guess what's your most current one right now that you've got in the works?
So the one that I was about to actually shoot was the Marrow, and so we planned to shoot at the end of March, and then COVID hit, and we had to postpone that, sort of pull the plug on that. So we're still in the process of figuring out when I'm going to shoot that. I've been kind of holding off because numbers keep going up and down, and I'm not too sure, especially with schools reopening, what's that's going to do to sort of the numbers. So I'm a little bit hesitant about getting too far back into production on that one. But yeah, that one's it's a family drama. It's also kind of loosely based around my own life. Yeah, I may as well share this. So when I was 19, I got leukemia. So right out of high school, ended up in the hospital with leukemia. And it's interesting when you're sort of confronted with mortality in that way that it shifts your perspective of what's of value and what's of not of value. I've watched a lot of sort of friends go right into university and right into that and carry on in careers, and I don't know how much they actually stop to sort of contemplate what they value, why they're doing the things they're doing. And I think that experience of having leukemia and facing mortality and being like, well, if I only have a year left to live, thankfully the prognosis when I got it was pretty high that I'd get through it, and I did. But it brings those questions to your mind of like, am I doing what I'm meant to be doing? Is this what I want to spend the time that I have on Earth doing? And so that I think that very much focused me on film. Like I just dug into that because I wanted to tell stories. And so back to the Marrow. So the Marrow is basically it's sort of an investigation of the way nobody wants to share their weakness with one another, and how that makes everything more difficult and often worse for everybody involved. And so the story of the Marrow is basically a son coming home with cancer, and he's got to tell his family that he's got cancer, but they all have their own sort of hidden secrets and that they're hiding that they don't want to share. And so that the father's retiring, the mother's in early dementia, starting to get Alzheimer's, sister's going through a divorce, nephew's getting bullied, the brother's a closet homosexual. So like there are all these big issues that you could dig into with a single film and just focus on one. But what I wanted to explore was that we all have these issues. We all have these traumas or these bigger things that we hide, and that we have to be willing to admit that to each other, and that the healing and the growth and the way, the path forward is much easier and much better if you share it with the people you love and you care about, as opposed to hiding it because you're afraid to show weakness. So yeah, so that's that film, and I'm very hopeful and excited. I sent the screenplay around to a bunch of people, and they're all very excited about it. Actually, so the screenplay won semifinals at Milledgeville Eatonton Festival this year, and it just got accepted into Script Summit this year. And I've actually, I'm sure everybody's heard about the Netflix open proposals, so I have a treatment for a feature film version of it as well that I submitted to Netflix for that. So yeah, that's one project that's very close to my heart that I'm excited to get back to, just sort of weighing COVID-19 and how that's going to play out for now. Yeah.
No, and thank you for sharing that with me. I could tell it was a bit difficult to talk about, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
And Adam also says he's very thankful that you're still here to see you flourishing.
So, thank you. Oh, Adam, hey, thanks for tuning
in. So having said that, because it is such a close topic to your heart at this point,
yeah.
Are you finding a bit of a struggle to have to keep postponing it at this point, or? I mean, considering the situation, you're probably okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, with COVID-19 and just sort of the unease of it all, I just I've focused my direction, or I've sort of focused on writing and things that I have a little bit more control over, and that aren't just sort of dependent on the protocols of the world outside, and that I can just do at home. So I've been working on one of the other projects that I submitted is Violin Hill that I'm working on with Mark Riddle, and yeah, so finished a pilot script for that. It's a hour-long drama about a small town, a sheriff in a small town. Murders start to happen in the small town. Husbands sort of disappear, and the families are either sort of mutilated or just disappear as well. And it's a supernatural thriller. It sort of comes back to sort of Wendigo spirit. If you're familiar with the Wendigo, it's sort of a Native American myth about sort of that cannibalistic spirit that invades people that are sort of corrupt or money hungry or just super greedy. So there's, I don't know, it's just a really cool project that I'm excited about, and we finished the pilot script on, and yeah, so that was really cool. Which is it's also the thing that I talk about is getting out into the community, and you make partnerships with other people, and you meet people on projects, and that's one of the things that I really love about Calgary and being in Calgary is there's definitely that independent community and spirit, and so I Mark out of who's I think a year or two out of SAIT, and he produced the web series Complacency. And so I just auditioned for that, no pay, just went out and did it because it was a cool script. Met him, we hit it off. The web series went on to win a number of awards and do really, really well. But yeah, we made that friendship and we made that connection, and now we're writing and producing together on projects. And I've had a number of instances where you meet people on different projects that you've sort of volunteered for, or you've just gone out for out of your goodwill, and it's just created connections and built things down the line that have grown from there.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree.
Did I
That
get
is a
off
great
topic?
thing.
What was the question
No,
again?
no, that's it's all good, man. We're all about flow and transition here. It's all good. So no, and I completely agree with the local community here in Calgary. Like it's great for that. I mean, it's a small market, but it's a close knit market, which I think
Absolutely.
is which I think is very helpful. It's very rare you run into somebody who's not a great person to work with or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
We're all trying to get to the same end game, and we're all willing to help each other out, which is good. It was a good transition though, because I do have actually the Complacency clip ready to roll. So that was
All right.
a fantastic transition, honestly.
All right.
So
Let's
there
check
we
this
go,
out.
right? I don't know if you have any little comment you want to make just before we lead into it, or you just
Yeah, I guess I'll explain. So it's loosely based around a serial killer, and this is sort of a flashback to her childhood. And the parents are in the living room. She's asleep in the other room, and I play the father, the sort of abusive father. Is what we'll see.
Okay, perfect. Let's check it out.
Crazy bitch. Playing your little games? Just stop. Hey. Wake up.
There you go.
Wow.
The series is actually up on YouTube. I think there's 5 or 6 episodes. Yeah, so search Complacency L120 Films if you want to see more of that.
And I'm just kind of curious, because I've played those kind of roles myself, and what are your thoughts when you do get a role like that, in terms of, because it's not you, right?
No.
You've kind of got to dig a little bit deeper and bring that guy out.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering how if you struggle at all with. um, actually bringing that guy out to begin with, and then putting him back.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, it's nice to be able to play characters that are outside of sort of your natural state, and so that I find there's sort of an extra excitement of getting to play someone that's not you, not your natural state. Um, but yeah, it's sort of. I mean, we all. I feel like we all have those sides to us, right? We all have the capability to go all over the spectrum in terms of emotional states, and so as much as it's not who I am, there is deep down there's a part of me that I've chosen for whatever reason to, well, not for whatever reason because it's good not to, but I hold that in its own compartment, and I don't let that out, and so it's kind of finding or linking myself back to moments where I felt sort of a sense of rage or a sense of being betrayed, or finding that thing that sort of activates that within myself, and then allowing myself to sort of sit in that emotion to find that state. And yeah, it can be hard to pull yourself out of. But yeah, I find that a lot. I like to find sort of the emotional state of the characters, and then if I'm able to dig into that, then it becomes much more. This is where I'm starting from. This is where the character's rooted, and then just playing the scene out with other people, and just actually reacting based on setting myself in that state. Yeah, it takes sort of breath work and also trying to be humorous or joking around after each take to try and not lose yourself in that emotion that you can't find yourself after you finish the role.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the challenges of acting, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of curious, what method of acting do you put yourself or categorize yourself under? Meisner, you?
I don't know. Like I guess I'm Stanislavski's kind of, because I'm definitely that sort of what if. But I'm not a guru to any specific style. Like I've studied in Meisner, and there's an incredible benefit to that of being in the moment and actually being connected with your acting partner and responding to them in that moment, and not getting lost in your head or trying to put something into the scene that's not there. And so there's great benefit to having that, but there's also Stanislavski's method, and the what if, and connecting to yourself to those, and so I've found that I've found my own sort of, I use bits and pieces of everything, which I think all actors kind of have to do. They have to find what works for them, because I don't think a particular method is going to work for everybody. Just like a particular method of learning doesn't work for everybody. Some people are visual learners, some are kinetic, some are phonetic, and so I think it's important to explore all of the different sort of schools of thought around acting, and find the things that work for you and that connect with you, but to give yourself the freedom to go, like, that doesn't work for me, like that doesn't, and that's fine. So yeah, I would say I'm definitely rooted in sort of the what if approach of Stanislavski and getting in the world, but I also draw a lot from Meisner in, once I'm into that world, being in the moment of the scene, and so using the what if to base myself and to get myself prepared. And then once the scene plays out, I sort of tap into the Meisner, and I'm in the scene and just reacting off the instincts that are coming out of me. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did have a question pop up while you were discussing that. Do you get stuck in your head with the role you're playing when you're not acting?
When I'm not acting. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think he's more or less asking, like, do you, when you're not acting, are you still stuck in a role? Like, is
Oh,
you like getting that out of your head or after the fact? I'm hoping I got your question right there, Dave.
yeah. When I'm on set and when I'm in the character and when I'm playing the character, I'm definitely one of those actors that I kind of keep to myself and keep in that energy, and I want to stay in the realm of the character. But once I'm finished playing a character, I'm done for the day. I do find that I'm able to sort of snap out of it fairly easy, or to pull myself out of it fairly easy. If
Okay.
that's the question you're asking, I think.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, a lot of it's so dependent on what kind of emotional range you're into at that point in your
Yeah.
character. But do you have certain regime or steps you take to get out of a certain mood or emotional state of a character,
Um,
or are you just able to pop out of it?
um, for the most part, yeah. I mean, some of the darker characters that I've played, it sits with you a bit longer. And I've studied mindfulness, and I find that can be helpful. So if I find it helps me not just in acting, but in just life in general, to sort of pull myself out of when I get stuck in certain emotional ruts or cyclical loops of things. So to just sit outside. I mean, there's a million different ways to practice mindfulness. My way is I sit out on my front porch and turn off my phone, put everything away, and just sort of listen to the silence, listen to the trees, listen to the wind, focus on a leaf blowing in the wind, and just connect myself to that moment. And when you do that, you sort of realize that everything else is sort of a built upon projection of your mental state or your mind. And so many of the problems and issues and things you're connecting with are your mind putting that on you, and all you need is this moment. And so I find that can really help me to just to let go and to also it's almost of two minds. So realizing that there's your emotions and all that you feel, but there's also your ability to witness emotions without connecting to them.
Right.
And so when you connect to mindfulness, you're able to go, well, that's what I'm feeling, but I don't have to invest myself in that feeling.
Okay.
And that helps it to sort of release as well.
Okay. Oh, that's fair. We are kind of reaching the tail end of our episode here. Before we kind of carry on, like, first off, I'll ask you. I know we haven't touched on absolutely everything that we kind of wanted to touch on, but if there's something specific you want to kind of talk about right now, we can definitely do that. And
Do you have the trailer for The Path to Somewhere? Do you want to play that one?
Yeah. Let me just double check that.
I guess I can tell a little bit about that project. So Garrick Winston passed away last year, and this is sort of his last film. And Omada Udalore, I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Right.
And Hancock's Entertainment sort of took on putting together the rest of that project, and so they'd shot it all, but it hadn't been edited together and polished and any of that. And so we put out a call on Facebook looking for an editor and a musician, and so I signed on as the editor for it, and Chad Blaine has signed on as the music. And so yeah, I got the hard drive with all the stuff and just sort of dug into it and edited together the film.
Okay.
And so yeah.
And I do have the 30-second trailer here that I can.
All right.
Pop.
Yeah. Let's play the trailer.
absolutely.
Get her done, or no one's getting any money.
Sam! Where are you?
Yeah. So Amada's been submitting that to festivals, and I'm really excited that I got a chance to be a part with it. I didn't get a chance to work with Garrick before he passed away, but I knew him in the community, and I'd met him at festivals, and he came out to the premiere screening for How to Survive a Zombie Apocalypse in Retail, and just an amazing person that I feel blessed that I got the chance to help bring that project to completion. So
Absolutely. To this day, I mean, it's been a couple of years now since he's passed on, but he's sorely missed for sure in this industry. Just his charisma, his positivity, willingness to help others. Yeah. Can't say enough about the guy. It's very sad passing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Yeah. No, and it was a good clip. There was a lot there in 30 seconds. So well done.
Thank you.
And so are you, like you said, Omara's got this through a couple of festivals or a few festivals right now.
Yeah.
What's the step beyond for this project?
I don't know. I haven't talked to Amada yet about what he plans beyond this, but I know he's been submitting to festivals, and I'm sure he's going to plan probably a screening when COVID-19 sort of blows over,
right?
Or we're able to get out to films that way. But yeah, that would be more of a question for Amada. I think I don't know for sure what his plans are.
Fair enough.
Beyond the festival circuit.
Speaking of, I should actually chat to him about being on the show. So thanks for that reminder.
Yeah.
And yeah, so on that note, and again, if there's another little topic you wanted to get onto, let me know. As for the folks watching, if you have any other questions kind of popping up in your mind that you'd like to ask either myself or Troy, go ahead, pop them up. Otherwise, I'm just gonna. Well, first off, is there something else you wanted to discuss quickly there, Troy?
No, I think I've covered most of the stuff. I mean, I have one or two other projects, but it's fine.
Yeah, the hour goes fast, honestly.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know about you. It seemed to go fast for me anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Almost noon now. Wow.
It is. Yeah. I think we do have time for one quick round of our phrase challenge. So just for the folks watching, what that is essentially Troy's got some random phrases on his end. I've got some on my end. I usually let the guest go first because I'm a coward, and and he'll choose a phrase and he will try and charade it out for myself and the viewers to kind of guess what he's trying to portray.
And then just answer in the comments. Is that right?
Yeah, so the folks watching can just comment in the comment section, and you'll have 1 minute to do the charade. So, and very much like charade, so you can say like, I don't know, 3 words, first word, that kind of scenario. Yep. No verbal or sound effect clues or anything like that. And then once that minute's up, if I haven't actually guessed correctly or vice versa, we'll give the audience a few seconds to maybe pop up a couple more answers and go from there.
All right.
Kind of how that rolls. Just get my little stopwatch ready here. There we go. And are you ready?
Yep.
Troy. And hopefully the folks watching are ready. I'm going to give you full screen.
All right. I'm going to just
All right. And go. 4 words. First word. Oh, he's getting up. He's getting serious. Cross. Ooh. Zooming in. Crosshair. Profile. Close up. Close up? Close?
Yeah.
Okay. Second word. But. Buttock. But. Close, but not quite. Okay. Third word. Cross. Close, but not. Fourth word. Smoke. Exhale. We're actually well over. All right. No, that was okay. I don't give your answer yet. We'll give the folks watching a second or two to answer if they'd like to throw an answer up. Close, but
Boom.
done. Jan, thanks for joining.
There you go.
Jan's got it. It's close, but no cigar. Very good.
Nailed it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So again, the prize for Jan is yay. He got it. Congrats.
Yeah. We need to get some sponsorship, right? So we can
Right, exactly. And then we can start sending out prizes for this. Perfect. No, that was good. And congrats, Jan, for getting that. I'll get my little phrase ready here. Oh, this could be a fun one. Ooh. Okay, we'll give that a shot. Glad I didn't go with Grover doing near far. Thanks for that, Dave. All right, we'll give this a shot. This should be funny. All right.
3 words. First word. Break. Drive. Ride. Pony. Ride. Okay. Third word. Cowboy. Ride me, cowboy. Ride. Okay, second word. You. Me. Ride a cowboy.
Oh, time's up. That was tough. Wasn't sure how to do that second word. Yeah, give it a couple seconds there.
Anybody got it in the comments?
Not so far. So you got 2 of the words, which was ride and cowboy. So we were just looking for the second word.
Is it M? Ride 'em?
Done.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah, I was like, how do I do
How
him?
would you do that? Yeah. Them and then abbreviate.
Yeah, exactly. And there's Jan again. She got it right at the end there.
You go. Yeah.
So Jan's very good at this game. She would be taking all prizes if I actually had prizes to give. So normally we do 2 or 3 rounds of that, but just due to the time, which is fine. Like I wanted to try and get as much of the content that you had out as possible. So we'll kind of end it at that. So thanks for playing around. Thanks for the folks that were also playing around and commenting, asking questions. I like to state this at the end of every episode. As much as it is about the guest and who they are and what they're trying to present, it's also about the folks watching. And we want your involvement. We want your friends to be involved. So don't be afraid to let your friends know about the next episodes popping up, things like that. Which, speaking of, next guest, here we go, will be Victoria Soder on August 22nd. There will not be an episode next Saturday. Unfortunately, just due to scheduling, I do not have the opportunity to do it. But yes, so that'll be the next guest. So, if you enjoyed the episode, if you're enjoying the show, please let your friends know. Let them know to come by and participate and have fun with it. And thanks to Troy for joining us today and taking the time out of his day to play with us and chat with us. It was a good interview. I enjoyed it. Hopefully you all did as well, including Troy yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, that'll kind of wrap it up. Troy, I do ask that you stick around just for a second or two after the show. And finally, as long as there's no other comments or anything else, see you all later. Thanks for coming, and we see you
Thank
next
you.
time. Take care.
Bye.